And we are back again for another Coach's Compass. Guys, remember, as always, hit that subscribe, like, comment button. It's your boy, Coach Coop. It's my boy, Jay, and we're reporting live again from the other side of the world out here in Europe. But we're going all the way around the world. We got people from all over tuning in. We got people from all over tapping in to go ahead and jump in for these interviews. And we got another special guest, right? An OG in the game, a guy that's been here for a minute. One of the legends over here, right? If you come to Scandinavia, you come to Denmark, you go up to Aarhus, you know this name, right? And it is Jonn Mathews. He is out of Denmark, right? Like I said, out of Aarhus. He is a coach at BGI Academy, former player for the Aarhus Tigers, helped take them to plenty of Mermaid Bowls, played at Grand Valley State University in Michigan, also from Saginaw, Michigan, and now is currently new to the father game. He is a girl dad, but like I said, he's just like our boy Jay, spent multiple years over here in Europe, and also had an opportunity to stay in one location. Very, very unheard of, and it's one of the tricks that a lot of us are trying to figure out. Because if you're like me, I have bounced all over the place, and I'm trying to find a home. These two, if you guys want to learn how to find a home, ask these guys because they know how it's done. But Jonn, appreciate you being here with us today, man. Welcome.
Absolutely. Crazy excited to be out here. Love what you're doing with the podcast and, just excited to chop it up with you too.
Bro, so one, before we even jump into everything, bro, how are you doing? Mentally, physically, emotionally, financially? Like how is Jonn doing?
It's hard to be too bad when you're in Denmark. Even at your lowest moments, you kind of like reset and you tell yourself, man, at least you're in Denmark. If this is my bottom, it's not that bad of a bottom. So, I mean, I got paternity leave, I got a new baby, and I just couldn't even imagine doing what I'm doing right now in the States. So life is good. Life is really, really smooth. Got a partner that's amazing. Got just a great family that I'm growing. So life's good. Life's really good. How about you two? How you two doing? Sorry to flip it on you.
Go ahead, Jay. I'll let you kick it off.
I got to start it off. No, I'm good. I feel like life's kind of busy right now just with football and coaching. I think me and Cooper are on the same wave where it's just like we found passions outside of football and trying to transition from, what was once our passion to another passion. And who knows when that'll happen for me from coaching to whatever the next thing is right now. But kind of just stressed in that kind of, and it's one of those things where it's not like a bad stress. It's a good thing to be stressed about because I'm excited for like my new journey and what's next after ball. But no, yeah, just trying to figure out life after ball.
If I can jump in there real quick, that life after ball is its own podcast. That's its own podcast. And I think that's a struggle.
Yeah.
That, man, everybody that I talk to has that struggle and nobody talks about it. It's kind of like the, Voldemort, the thing you don't speak of because it's something that's, every athlete struggles with. And a lot of people were done in high school. And that's when they had to go through that and they worked through it. But, you got to go to college, then you played after college. And now you got to deal with something that, 3/4 of the world dealt with, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I want to know what y'all take on that is too, because honestly, I was talking to somebody the other day and I was like, I think honestly we're reluctant in our situations where it's like we're in a situation in Europe where you kind of have some time to figure out what you want to do after ball just because the competition level goes from where we were at, Grand Valley State, Cooper's at Charlotte, I'm at Gardner Webb FCS to like here. And now it's like, the level of football drops and you're just like, you still playing competitively, but I feel like we were all allotted time to kind of figure out what we want to do. It's instead of like, right after college, it's just like, everybody trying to go to the league. Everybody on roster trying to go to the league. And, you hit with that reality kind of fast. And thank God I had Europe.
Yeah, man, I'm in the same boat. I feel exactly what you're saying. You try to even use the competitive edge of, hey, when I'm an import, I have to be perfect. You know what I mean? I got to be a great player for myself, but also I have to cover this guy's position and this other guy's position at the same time. So, you're able to really make it competitive. You're still really, able to, live that dream, but, it's catching up to you. Father Time is catching up to you. Even LeBron James has been running from it, but it's catching up to you. And it just, it's honestly, talking to other friends, sitting down and finding a different passion. Like, man, I was doing everything trying to find a different passion. I was doing disc golf. That's how crazy things were going. else I could do. I was doing disc golf during COVID. I'm like, I can't play football. You know what I mean? I'm getting old. My body's breaking down on me. I'm playing disc golf. I'm like, I got to find something. So, that's its own topic in itself.
Yeah, that was tough. I don't have the answer yet because I'm still trying to search. I think that's why, like, a big reason, like, this podcast, like, trying to be good at this and, like, try to be as professional as I can with everything, like, how we lay stuff out and present it to people, to make this, like, the next thing along with coaching. So it's learning, seeing what other people are doing, how are they doing it too, watching other podcasts, seeing how they're being professional with it, and like how to climb the ladder. Cause then it gives you that next competitive edge, right? Cause that's what we're always searching for. Like, we're trying to continue to be competitive, but not put our body through the toll that we just put it through for all the years we've been playing. Cause, like we said, we came out here and, like, yeah, time might have paused a little bit for us to search and find, like, what's next, but also our bodies didn't get taken care of as if we were back home in the States and we were, with a pro team or even still in college and stuff. We had those accessibilities to be taken care of, and now we come over here and it's still kind of secondary to them when you talk about rehab and treatment and how many days a week you're going to it, because most of the time when you go to treatment over here, and we can all say, like, they're just trying to get you to be able to walk again. They're not really trying to get you to play at a high level like we're so used to. Like, when you're back in the States, like, you get a little tweak in the hamstring. Like, they're trying to figure out a way to get you back on a practice field as quickly as possible so you can play that game that Saturday. Here, it's just like, oh, well, you got to take 2 weeks of rest, and then we'll start working on it a little bit. And then you're like, bro, like, no, that's not how we operate. So I think that's another big piece of, seeing the other side of after ball, is now being able to take care of the bodies again, but find a passion and a competitive edge in whatever's next for us. And I don't know what it is. This podcast has been cool to see where it's going and how we speak fluently, and, all the things from episode 1 to where we are now are completely different people. Even if we talk about, coaching side, like we always say, like coaches always say 3-4 years back, like, I'm not doing the same things I was doing then as I'm doing now, because we evolved, right? We learned, we progressed, we got better. And I think that's the fun thing about being an athlete and taking that over into our next venture in life. So I think that's what I'm looking forward to, and seeing how both of us do, and how you do too, Jonn, because I mean, I've been following your journey ever since I stepped foot in Denmark, and everyone's always had talked about, if you want to figure out a way to stay, you want to figure out how to do things right, talk to Jonn. Jonn's the one who's doing things up in Aarhus. Like, he's figured. I'm honest, bro. You talk to the Gold Diggers, you talk to the Towers, you talk to the 89ers, you talk to all these teams across Denmark. Everyone is like, Jonn has been here for years. Like, so if you want to find a way to stay here, you got to talk to Jonn. Me, when I first got here, nah, I'm not talking to Jonn. I'm going to find my way. You know what I mean? Right. That's how we come over here, and like, it's year, 7, 8 now for me. And I'm thinking back to, like, I'm talking to rookies now that are on our team. Like, hey, bro, like, this is going to happen like this is how you should look at your contract, set this up. And I think back to, like, man, I wasn't listening to none of that the OGs was saying. I wasn't listening to none of that stuff they got to say. And now I look at, our communication that we had back then. I just want to ask, how did you manage to do what you're doing now and be able to stay here stable for so long?
I had just a real alternative journey over to Denmark, to be 1,000% honest with you. When I first started, I got cut from some rookie camps, and that was just crushing me. I got this teaching education, you telling me that, I played in, national championships. I've been doing this high level thing, and now I'm just done. You know what I mean? I'm about to go coach, high school ball, and I just, not that I went back and I did that. I love that, but it just I wasn't ready for it. And I had a friend that had gone over to Europe, and he was just killing the GFL at the time. And it didn't matter what team I wrote. When I told him, I went to Grand Valley State, they said, hey, do you know Brandon Langston? And I was like, yeah, I played with him. They're like, well, we'll sign you. That's how much credit he had. He had won a couple GFL MVPs and was just, Jonn, you got to come out here. So, I had a contract with Barcelona, and in this team in Aarhus, the 89ers was just hitting me up all the time. Hey, we really like you. Would you even come over for a camp? We know you're not going to pick us, but we like the feedback we had from you. And Barcelona was just changing every day. The contract was changing. Like I would get a contract, sign it, turn it in. A week later, they say, hey, this is changing. This is changing. Can you sign this new contract? So that was just kind of like, and at the same time, I was scared to go to Europe. I thought, I saw the movie Hostel. I don't know if you ever seen that. I thought that was going to really happen. But no. And so they were just consistent. And I was asking about the contract. Hey, is this normal to have a contract change 3-4 times? No. So I was like, hey, you know what? Oprah did this really nice show on Denmark. I'll go, thinking that I'm going to go for 6 months. That's it. And when I got here, I was here for maybe 3 days, had maybe 2 practices. And one of the coaches, or not one of the coaches, one of the players came up and was like, hey, Jonn, we heard you're a teacher. There's this job at this international school. Would you want to take it? And I'm like, no, this is not the football that I thought I was going to be in. You know what I mean? I was just like, not at all. And they were like, hey, just come see the school. I was like, all right, what's wrong with going to see the school? Take me around the school, ask me like, hey, can you work with these kids for a little bit, 30 minutes, do a lesson? Worked with them, and they were like, hey, this job is yours. And I'm like, no, I'm not staying here. They said, well, what about, what about not working on Fridays? We'll give you your Fridays free. And I'm still like, I'm sorry, you're full-time, but you're not working on Fridays. I'm like, I'm not doing it. Like, I thought this was going to be a different kind of football. I thought this was going to be like real high level, and it wasn't what I thought it was at the time. They said, what if you came in at noon on Mondays? And so you're really working like 3.5 days. I was like,
them boys was giving you everything, bro.
you know what I mean? And I come from a family of teachers. So when I'm telling my family, like, hey, they're gonna give me this and this and this and this, my family's like almost shaking me over the phone, like, Jonn, if you don't take this, you're gonna have a problem when you come home. So I took the job and fell in love with it. But at the same time, it was great because it allowed me to do those things that I wanted to do when I was in college. Like I always wanted to study abroad. But could you imagine going to your coach and being like, hey, coach, I'm going to miss spring because I'm going to Spain for all the spring practice. They tell you to stay. They said, don't come back.
Just go, hey, once you go over there, just pack on the bag.
So I was able to, if we didn't have a game or we didn't have something going on where I was doing some youth coaching, I was out. I would literally go through click, what's the cheapest Ryanair place that I can fly to? And I go spend weekends. And so literally for first 3 years of my life, I probably seen every country in Europe 2-3 times. And so that was something that just like, I was always feeling like at 27, I was like, man, if I died, I feel like I could be with God and say, I did the most that I could. Like for real. Like,
no, that's real talk.
I had a teacher in high school say, hey, Jonn, why don't you take German class? I was like, I'm never going to use German. Why would I ever take German in high school? It's never going to happen. And now I'm frustrated that I didn't do it, So I got lucky. I kind of got it in out the gate. And I realized that, your body, I realized that I really like living over here. One. And I knew that my body was not going to be able to, I wasn't going to be able to use my football body to be able to stay here for only for so long. And so I just slowly started transitioning to saying, hey, my visa needs to go from being an athlete to being a teacher. And so that's really where I just started flipping it over. And now it's going from, hey, being a teacher and work to, I got to have a full-time residency, be closer to my family and do those different things. So that's the big hunt that's in the process right now. So when I really boil it down, it was, just understanding that this is going to run out. And also understanding like I feel so more fulfilled living over here. No offense to the States. I love the States. A lot of the things about the States I miss how competitive it is. I miss how, active it is. It's fast paced. When you get home, you're like running, right? I miss kind of that, but there's so many things that I love about the community and the place that I live at in Denmark that, overrides that. That just is just too much for me. So for me, it was just transitioning from that visa being, I'm here for sports to now I'm here for work and now I'm a resident here with a family. So.
Yeah, that's a hell of a way to transition though, because your first year here, you get offered a position. You know what I mean? Like you don't
Right.
really
It's like super lucky. And that's something like, a lot of people are like, man, you never got to go to Spain and play. You never got to go here and play. I'm like, yeah, but like that
so
import
what?
life,
So what,
right?
bro?
The import life is can be tight. You can be like really penny pinching and doing some different things. Like I have a full-time job and had to import, benefits and things like that. Like, did you see every country in Europe? You know what I'm saying? Like those kind of things where you taking trips to Asia on the, like for fun because that's what you're doing. So for me, it was just, I just fell in love with the culture, fell in love with that way of life, and knew that my body would expire at some point, and if I wanted to continue that, then I needed to switch out, and just went from one teaching to the next, and was able to, even after leaving Denmark and thinking that, hey, I gotta go back to Michigan, I gotta go back and coach and give back to where I'm from, having this opportunity with one of my best friends over here to start an academy, a football line in an academy. I mean, geez, who wouldn't go jump on that? So
Yeah.
that's been kind of, my get over here, stay over here in a nutshell a little bit.
So then when you're making that transition, from playing to now teaching, but also alongside of that, you're coaching. What is
Yeah.
that transition like to being, now a full-time coach, because now you gotta hang up the cleats, right? And now you're also out of school teaching and then also coaching. So what is that transition like for you?
Well, I mean, I can't really complain. Like I went back for 2 years after being here for like 5. I went back for 2 years to be a high school head coach. And, I felt like I was getting used by the system as a high school head coach. You're literally doing, you're really working for like maybe 5 cents an hour for the amount of hours that you're putting in. And so the one thing is when you're a coach over here, in at least at the academy that I work for, those are part of my 40-hour work week. You know what I mean? Like I get prep hours for teaching. Like I don't know a lot of coaches that can sit there and say that in the States. So like my 40-hour work week, half of it is football. And so that's something that I'm really, really privileged with. And, it goes back to that Danish system where you just can't be slaving for nothing. You have these strong unions that come in and say, hey, you can't work this person that way. And you can't do these things without paying him for it. And so you just feel appreciative as a worker, if that makes sense. So those are things that, you kind of just holding on to that, when you go back home, I'm always, even on my hardest days, even when times are like, man, I don't want to be here. I'm always like, would you rather be, in that elementary school where you got, you got to send, you got to send kids home that, aren't eating, and there's just so much in the States where you
The
just feel
hustle,
like there could be so much
nonstop.
more. What'd you say?
That hustle in the States is nonstop. You know what I mean? Like
Nonstop. And
in Denmark's a utopia.
not only is it nonstop in the sense of like you trying to better yourself and further yourself, like you also witness just the trampling of the bottom, if that makes sense. And that's just something that I appreciate about Denmark. They got this thing called Yendelo, which is like, doesn't matter if you're a trash man or you're the biggest lawyer here, you guys are equal. And, society needs both of you. And so there's just a thing of that I appreciate. Now, Yendelo sucks in the sense of competition where like,
I was
hey,
about to say.
I'm not any better than the next guy, John. I'm not that great. You know what I mean? But it's like, no, you got to step on that guy's throat. You got to beat him down. You know what I mean? You got to really work on that. That hurts, right?
No, that like when
It
I
is
first was
interesting.
when I was starting, when I was starting DC9 Fit back in the day and like talking about, training athletes in Denmark, that was like the biggest thing I wanted to like dead, because like Yenda Law like had a lot of these kids like, oh, I can't really talk trash to the person, like even though I know him better than him, or like they're like, well, I like it's not part of our society. I said, but that doesn't fit like football. Like I'm cool with like outside the lines, like y'all can be buddies. You step in between those
Right.
lines, like you got to bring that competitive edge, like because that's the game. The person across you should like want to try to rip your head off, and like you should want to feel like you can dominate them at any point in the game, and like it's okay. Like I'm not telling you to go out there and tell them like all the craziness, but like it's okay to sometimes be like, yo, bro, like I'm better than you. Like it's okay
Right.
to know and say and think that. But it's
But
definitely a big thing.
that's also very, that's also very American. Like that's something that I'm
Yeah.
trying to like. I don't know if you have the same thing, Jay, but like there's so much American in you that you don't even notice it until you've been away for so long. You start hanging out with other Americans. You're like, man, I used to think just like that. Because for me, I'm also thinking, like, how do I put this? Like, the reason that Danes or Scandinavians or sometimes Germans aren't, or Europeans aren't that like diehard is because they have an option after sports. When you're in the States, like to go to college, like you have to get this scholarship. I don't got 30 grand to
No
go
plan
to
B.
university to get an education. Whereas over here, it's like, yo, football doesn't work. I'm just gonna go be a doctor, I guess. Like I'll have my other dream. You know what I mean? Like, and it's the step there. So for me, I understand that, that will, that fight, that scrape, that nasty mentality that Americans have to have in sports just because, there is that massive inequality. It is so difficult to get a higher education. It's just the truth. Is it like that in Hungary, Jay? Do you
Yeah,
see
I
that
mean,
same?
you make me think about it too, because honestly, when I talk to other people about it, I try not to generalize, and I usually just say Hungary because I can't speak for everywhere else in Europe because I've mainly been here, unless like aside from like the 3 years that I spent in Japan, but that was just like on the back end of our season. Like for me, I've kind of just noticed where like how Coop was saying, where like guys can't separate like emotions and competition, and it's like I don't know where that comes from in culture. Um, and with regards to just like that'd be interesting. I'd be interested to dive down deeper into that because just like because you could say with soccer players here, is every kid growing up here, and I think it's the same way almost anywhere in Europe, is that every kid wants to play for like the big soccer team in their country or wants to be like a big time soccer player. And it's just like, how is that any different than like the league for us? Obviously, their schooling is a little bit different. I think that's like a huge, weird infrastructure for them that they don't have that we have, where it's, that camaraderie in high school, that camaraderie in college. But yeah, I don't even know if the whole NFL deal, if I would say the whole NFL deal, because like even guys that I played with and I played high school lacrosse, and them boys was just like, they devoted their whole lives to trying to go to college. But that was it. With lacrosse, there is no like professional lacrosse league that you're making a bunch of money in. But it's just like there's something about, and I think it does come with America's culture where it's just like the American dream, but it's just like there's a go-getter hustler mentality that I don't need we'll never lose. And it's just like even though like I'll enjoy the parts of Hungary or you'll enjoy parts of Denmark that offer, maybe some you still always gonna have that hustle mentality. Yeah, that ain't going nowhere. Like I'm still always gonna have like that quote unquote dog where it's just like, and that competitiveness in me is just like, and I try and give that to the youth as much as I can, but sometimes it just gets hard because you're trying to give it to a kid that is not surrounded in that environment. And I think I've noticed it a lot with like the two kids that we sent to the States, and we actually have another one leaving to. I always joke with them where we had a kid, his name is Gagger, he has a scholarship at Dartmouth, and every time I would always talk trash to him, I'd be like, hey, you can't block me. I hope you know you can't block me. And he would always kind of be submissive and be yes, I know I can't block you, blah, blah. He went to high school in America he was there for like 5 months. And I made that joke to him, that made that same joke to him, and he was like, Coach, you crazy. Like, Coach, I will put you on your back. Like, and it's just like, it's just a
America changed
cultural
them.
thing. Exactly. America changed them. And it's just like that environment. I don't know where that comes from historically or culturally, ingrained in us,
And kids will
DNA.
kids will find success in that. I don't want to say that for every kid. That's not fair, right? Because there's a lot of competitive. I've worked with so many kids that like want to, going to scrap and do everything that they got to do to win that game. But it's also, America's the place that they get to find out whether or not they really want it or not. You know what I mean? Once
Yeah.
they get over there and they got to go head to head against somebody else that, has to win, and you have this easy escape. That's like kind of the problem. Like, hey, you got this easy escape home. You're going to get a kid that comes back that's tough because he's doing kind of what you're doing out here in Europe, but in America in an even tougher environment. Yeah, but I just think it's an American as an American, I just see so many different qualities in myself that were really I guess you could say, like really strong, pillars in my life where I would just sit there and say, hey, I have to be competitive. I have to do things this way because it's the American way. That after I've been living out here so long, I'm like, that's not necessarily the best way. Or, you know what I mean? If that makes sense for you guys.
Yeah.
I'd love
Do
to
you,
hear like an example.
but like talking about the competitiveness and the
Okay.
culture
All right.
side of things.
Perfect example. Like, let's look at school. I used to be so okay. I used to be so against, like, how could you have clubs and not it be combined with the high school? And then you could sit there and say, how many kids do you know growing up that were way better than you in sports, that if they were playing for a club and it wasn't based on their GPA, whether or not they'd be able to play a sport, that they'd be exceptional athletes. They'd be probably playing in the league somewhere. I, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of Americans just based off of that thought process alone. And so for me, I just like, it makes you really sit back. I used to sit back and think, like, when I first got there and found out kids were like drinking at 13, drinking, they could legally drink at 13 years old, legally drink at 16. I was like, dude, this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever thought about in my life. But then you sit there and you talk to parents and they're like, well, I give my kid a couple beers and we talk about it. I bring them home. We talk about, how did that beer make you feel? Like, what are your thoughts about it? And then the next time, and so I'm progressively introducing alcohol to my kid. And so that when they're 18, 19, they can control themselves. They've been in that situation before. They understand it. What happens how many kids in college do you know that went to college? That was their first exposure to alcohol. They went to jail. They got all these issues that happened to them. And that was he's 21 now and he loses his damn mind. He's 18 now and loses his mind. And so it just makes you really look at all these pillars and thoughts that you have of like, no, I'm concrete. This is totally wrong. You can never do that. And then you sit there and have a discussion with people and realize that there really is another way to look at these things.
Yeah.
So if we talk about, the culture and the competitive side of things, and you look at, because you're at the academy level now, right? And if you look at the other academies, you look at RIG, you look at Desi down in Svenbo, you look at the one down in Nuremberg with Josh, and like all these academies around here. You look at those, and the competitiveness and culture is kind of there. And you guys think or you can talk about it, Jonn. Do you think it's like because you have so much access to these guys all the time to embed that in them? Whereas like if you look at the guys that are with just their club team, right? They're there for 2 days, 3 days a week, and then they're going back with their normal friends and stuff. Whereas at the academy, they're there all the time and they're around football guys and they're always competing against each other. And like all they're worried about is just football, So does that play a role?
Yeah, but that's a two-headed animal there. Like that's a two-headed beast there. There's a couple ways. Like I'm at an academy that also has like gymnastics, it has dance, it has all these different things. So they're not just thinking about football, they're thinking about the girl from the last class, and they're like, there's a lot of distractions. If I say, do we have an opportunity to really get to know these kids, really get to invest in these kids? Absolutely. That's something that I am really thankful for. Is it something where, we really get an opportunity to build a culture and to be able to go out and do those different things? I think so. I think that, we're in a special situation. I think Desi's in a great situation down there. I just think that, really when I boil down and look at these academies, I think that, kids are just looking to get better in advance. They're realizing that, hey, 2 practices a week just isn't enough to fuel my passion for the game. And that's why you're seeing these academies pop up. At least in my opinion, it's just, hey, everyone that I talk to thinks that they're going to NFL Academy, every kid, without understanding like the work that it takes to get there. Also, every kid thinks that they're going to go on PPI's tour and get signed to go play D1. And I'm like, yo, I'm old, but you can't even touch me. Like I remember like coaching August. Bro, I swear to God, I'll tell you a story, and I'm not gonna say names because maybe they're gonna be tuning into this podcast because they know who they are. But they were, as a head coach, I'm at Aarhus Tigers, and I got guys that have been on the PPI tour, and they think they're hot shit. They thought that they were hot shit. Here I am at the time, 35 years old at the time, and I'm like, you can't guard me right now. And I don't know why you're causing a distraction at my practice. You're too good to be out here. Went into the equipment room, put on a helmet, strapped up some cleats, and whooped his ass on 3 straight one-on-one reps. And I'm sitting there saying, you think that you're going to go D1 in the States? Yes, I was a D1 all or D2 All American. Yes, but I'm 35. You know, like, come on,
Them
like,
years
give me
past
a
us.
break. Like, so you have to. There is I just don't think that a lot of young kids understand absolutely what it takes to be D1 or absolutely what it takes to play for NFL Academy. And for my school, it's nice. You can really come in and dedicate yourself to the sport and better yourself. But to go to NFL Academy, you have to be, I really tell, when I'm selling kids to come to BGI and selling families, I'm telling, hey, if your kid wants to go to the States, you got Jonn, who's been an American high school kid coach, has played at a high college level, has done all types of coaching on both levels, and I got my Danish gloves on. And I'm going to help you get to that area where you can go to America. But like a lot of kids don't understand what it truly takes to get there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's always a tricky road because you don't want to like kill a kid's dreams and be like, hey, like you're not gonna make it to that level, and be like, hey, like I can maybe help you out, but like at the same time you gotta be realistic with these kids, because a lot of them come in with like a lot of these false hopes and dreams. And it's funny that you mentioned these people going on these PPI tours and coming back thinking that they're hot shit, because I probably know exactly who you're talking about because I spent enough time in Denmark to know their names.
No.
But on top of that, how did you even start the academy? Because like that's a point that I think a lot of us Americans are trying to figure out. Like, how did you start that academy for like being a coach? But then also like, how are you selling it, like getting people to like kids to come there and be a part of it?
Well, there's like two ways that I really want to go into this. Like right now it's built on we got a name. At least in like a lot of the Scandinavian areas, we kind of got a pretty strong name, and kids leave, and it's evident when the kid leaves from their home club and then comes back, and they might not even have been a guy at their old club, and they come back and now they're the best player on their team. That gets kids signed up as it is, right? Starting the academy was really, I got a friend, Marco Wusko. He's been one of my best friends over here for the longest time. And I've been doing a lot of national team coaches popping up, doing pop-up camps all over the place. And just, hey, guys throughout Denmark that was like, hey, I really want to make the national team. It was just really, hey, come work with me for, a week before the national team comes and I'll get you ready. You know what I mean? And so it was a lot of that. And I did a lot of development at the Tigers. I mean, they went from being a bottom team to playing the Mermaid Bowl and just really developing that team. So I left to go home. Felt like my career was done. I wanted to give back, go be a teacher and, coach. And Marco started working and did like what would you call it? Like your student assistant for a teacher, like your teacher practicant is what it is in Danish. I can't even think the American word for it, but did his student teaching at BGI.
Yeah.
And he was like, man, Jonn, I really think that you and I could come and start an American football line here and it would blow up. And so, I was tired of America after 2 years. I was like, yo, bet, let's go and do this. I like the high school thing, but there's just so much drama. There's so much politics in it. And, you make great relationships and it's really, really nice, but, you're damn near working for free. And then you got to go around and build a staff and ask them to work for free as well. And they got families and doing all those different things. So, I was excited to get back and really like that environment where I could be a counselor, I can be a teacher as well as a coach, all kind of bottled into one. So we started that, and then we were doing a lot of, boot camps, running our own camps, just getting a reputation to the point where now we just kind of hold these open houses. And people come, and what we sell is, improvement. Everybody comes and knows somebody that has been there and wants that. Hey, I want to come back and I want to be like Anders or whatever. Give me another Danish name. I want to be like
Valentine.
Christopher. Yeah, Valentine is dog. I was so happy to have Valentine in my school, man. One of the best players that BGI's had. You're just really selling development. And you're selling, hey, if your dream is to go to the States, what a better opportunity to kind of have this high school setup that's kind of a warm-up to going over there. And every kid that we have that leaves, that goes to high school or college, comes back as like an all-conference player. Like they play. As long as they get set up at a right school. I've been kind of beefing with some of the foreign exchange stuff that they got over here in Denmark, sending kids to like a Texas school with 2,000 people at it. And it's like,
and the boys ain't seeing the field.
They ain't gonna play, man. I might not play if I went over there. I might not play. So like, come on. But, that's kind of the setup. Really a big push on development. And to be honest with you, you gotta create a plan. If you guys want to go and build your own academy and build a program academy, you got to go to some other academies that are already doing some of the similar stuff and have a business plan laid out. Hey, we're going to do this. This is what the budget looks like. It's a business. When you really boil it down, it's a business. These kids are paying X amount of money to come here to have a product, and you need to be able to put that product together. And so, a lot of people are just like, hey, this thing isn't going to fall in your lap. And I guess for me, that's the American in me that is, hey, if you want a job out here, if you want to stay here, you got to go create it. It's like the absolute truth. Like, if you guys are really into your performance training and your strength training, it's like, you have that edge. You have that edge. You're American. It just is in your blood. You're going to go scrape, grab, do what you have to do to go get it. You just got to go create it, man, and go sell it, because nobody's going to be able to do it like you do it. Your product is going to be so much better than the next person's product.
How many years has it been now that you've been running the academy?
8 years now. 8 years running. Geez, we had, I don't know if you know Julius Bunk. We had a couple kids go play in the Michigan High School All-Star game. Played all over Europe, different games, running different camps, doing different things like that. I've had, you've come with me, Desmond, on one of the tours. We take these trips. We have these, it's called like a linear tour. It's like your program trip, and we go all over the place. We'll go to an NFL game. We'll go to Amsterdam. We'll go to Germany. We go all over the place, and it's just a great environment. Kids are fun.
They got these kids traveling like rock stars, bro. Rock stars. Y'all at NFL games, you're going down to Amsterdam, you go down there and like you practice a little bit, you play a game, and these kids are free. I'm talking about in Amsterdam, these kids are just roaming for free. But they're Danish kids, so it's like they're not even, so we think about Amsterdam, we think, shoot, I'm about to go wild. But like these kids, they go down there and it's like, yeah, I'm coming to see Amsterdam and like I'm going to do a little bit of shopping and stuff, but like it's normal to them because they've like already kind of been through the wildness. Like you said, they've been introduced to like alcohol and everything at 13, 15, but a lot of them also, they're going on a business trip, right? Like a lot of them are trying to, because I remember when I was with you guys in Amsterdam and like you guys were practicing with the Panthers, like you were trying to see like the mentality of what the team was going to be like. But like, even though they had like, because it's very rare that like you see a lot of Danish kids that have some color to them, right? Yeah. And they went down to Amsterdam and there was some boys down there.
Yeah. It was like, eyes would be like, whoa, yes.
Ooh. But then they stepped up to the plate and they played football. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like eventually they were just like, hey, they play football just like us. And like, yeah, there was a little bit of speed difference and a little bit of, athletic ability that was a little different. But other than that, I think you guys handled it great. So it's like awesome to see that what you guys are doing there is full. It's like transferring over, man. Cause like, I mean, I've had kids that have come there from SGD that like I trained and like they came there and then they came back and it's like a whole different cat. You know what I mean? Like this dude like now is like, he's grown into himself, but also like mentally too. He feels like he can show up each and every day. But on top of that, you've continued to grow your own coaching career because now you just went to Tampa Bay. So we had Esther on earlier and she talked about her Tampa Bay experience. Now, can you tell us, I don't even, like, first off, before we get into the experience, how did you get there, right? How did you get to this experience and then what was it like?
To be honest with you, one of my homeboys, one of my, dudes over here in Europe is Magic. He runs the DB Network Instagram. I'm sure just about everybody in Europe knows who he is. But he was like, man, Jonn, did you see this? You got to sign up. I've already signed up. You know what I mean? I'm not going to gatekeep this on you because, a lot of people like, man, I'm not going to gatekeep. And he was, one of us is going to get in. So we got to go apply for this. And applied for it and just really didn't hear back anything for a long time. But I knew, like, if I applied for this, I had to be, like, real strategic. I knew that there's going to be about 1,500 people that would apply for this thing. And so it was really strategic. Really pushed a lot of the international things that I was doing into kind of one big cover letter and resume. And then you got this video that you had to show off your coaching skills. So the thing that I did when I got the video was, we have at BGI, we have NFL Game Pass. So they sent you the game and they sent you some clips. So I went through, I watched that whole game. I watched the drive leading up. so that when they showed the plays, I could talk about what happened before. I was calling each player by their name and not their jersey number, number 79. You know what I mean? Like I was a coach in there because I had to have something that was different than everybody else that was going to be on there. So, when you're applying for those fellowships and things, that's just something that I felt like, you got to find a way to be different. And so that's just something that I was really pushing going forward was, hey, how can I be different? And those are some different ways that I was able to do. Got selected and was just like, wow, that experience, Desmond, was like, it's like a dream, man. We talked just in the beginning about like, you really feel like, what are you going to do after football? That like, just spiked the juice. It just made everything feel like now I'm hungry for something else. Now I have this whole chip on my shoulder of how can I get back and get a taste of what I had. And so it was 8 days of just digging into football. Literally, I was going to bed at 1:00 in the morning, getting up at 5, trying to get to the facility as early as I could, hanging out with the QCs as much as I could, because I figure, all these, all the position coach or all the coordinators, they want to be there, they want to engage with you, but they're also really, really busy. And so for me, my whole mindset was like, how can I learn as much as I can from the QCs because they're doing all the dirty work. And if you were to be able to get into the NFL, you got to do some dirty work. You're going to be the guy that's making the call sheets. You're going to be doing all those different things. So I wanted to make sure, hey, how do you run the video system that they have? How do they go and break down film and do different things like that? So for me, that was kind of my mindset of what does it take to be an NFL coach, and how do I really, learn all the things that I don't know to be an NFL coach?
So what did you learn? Like, what does it take to be an NFL coach? Because I mean, you got a lot of coaches on here that are trying to figure out, how do they get to that next level, or how do they make, their programs, I wouldn't say like that, but like, how do they coach in a way that makes it more professional?
To be honest with you, it's to get in, it's networking, man. To get I can boil everything down to, there was a lot of times where you'd be frustrated in there because you'd want an answer from a guy and the answer was networking. And it's like, yeah, but I don't have, I talk to people I don't know. You know what I mean? And so that was, you were kind of a little frustrated in that sense, but then it was like, well, what are you going to do about it? All right, well, I'm going to network with everybody that I can have contact with. And so for me, reaching out to as many people as you can, getting on LinkedIn and just writing. Like I would say like a year and a half ago, I was on LinkedIn. I paid for like a company LinkedIn account so I can send as many messages to different NFL people to try to get money and funding for the different camps that I was doing. And then I had some people reach out and say like, oh yeah, we'll come for free for one of your camps. You know what I mean? So then all of a sudden I was like, well, then it was worth it. You know what I mean? So it's like, hey, I've been saying to D, like 2024 is the day of just putting yourself out there. It's the year of putting yourself out there and taking a chance. And when it came to this NFL thing, it was, hey, I'm going to take a big swing to get in here. I'm going to work my tail off and try to find some type of way to have, just be a little bit different than the other, 1,500 people so that I can get selected. And when I get in there, I really want to show Tampa Bay I work. I'm going to be a coach that comes in early. I'm going to be the first one in here catching the Uber. The dude's half asleep. You want to go get some coffee first? No, just take me there. I want to get some work in beforehand. I want to show them what I can do. And, it really felt at times like Survivor out there because there's 5 spots. 5 people is going to come back. They're going to bring back 5 people. So you're always looking like, damn, that dude had a good answer. Like, you know what I mean? So you're feeling like you're competing with people. You're constantly, where am I in the situation? How can I better myself? How can I show that I'm ready to be here? So not only was it, you learned the world. Like they partnered with the NFL. You have a coaching certification that's the highest in the world when you left there. Like nobody's got one higher than you. So like that's something that you're like really proud of. But you worked for it. You were in meetings. You had to learn so much. You had to really give it. Man, they gave you an offensive playbook at 8 o'clock at night, and then said like, if you know what you're doing tomorrow, you can coach. Like imagine getting an offensive NFL playbook. Like I'm up to 2 a.m. I'm gonna make damn sure that I was in the tight ends group. that I knew what I was doing for every tight end thing that they had to do the next day. And so, like, I sent a bunch of kids. I like just showed the binder. I'm like, to the kids at BGI, we have like a big group chat, and I'm like, look at this binder. I gotta learn this tomorrow. And you guys are complaining about the little stuff that we do. You know what I mean? You got like 6 plays you got to learn, and it's too much for y'all. Then we got 20 pages of motion. We're talking about 20 pages of motions. So, I was just, if I was to really boil everything down to what I learned, it's like you have to network. And that means that you have to go to, those coaching conventions. You have to reach out to your LinkedIn network. You have to take a shot on yourself. You got to go and put yourself out there. And as Americans, that can be very, very difficult. At least for myself, to be vulnerable as men is just not something that is American in you, to be vulnerable. And putting yourself out there really takes you being vulnerable and reaching out and taking a shot and trying. That's definitely something. But also, I'm so grateful for this European opportunity, because as a coach, when you're coaching in Europe, you have to be a D-line coach, a quarterback coach, a wide receiver coach. You have to do everything. You got to be the water boy. Hey, the best pH scale for the water that the kids are drinking. You got to know, you got to be able to do everything. And that makes you such a better coach. And so when you got guys that are just like focused on one thing, like in America, like if you can't do multiple things, then like you're going to struggle. And so I really felt like actually happy for my European situation, because it made me really appreciative of being there, one, and seeing just how elite it was. But two, I felt like, I'm coaching the right way. I'm doing things the right way, because the things that they're telling me about what it takes to be an NFL coach, I'm doing, just not on that level.
Yeah, bro, before we talk about being vulnerable and stuff, like, definitely want to give you your flowers early on, man, like for what you've been doing over there in Denmark, because I've had a chance to witness it firsthand. It's like, bro, you're on the path of like doing what a lot of us are trying to do. Because Jay and I have talked about it back and forth, like about what it's like to, build an infrastructure and like have that stability, or even making academies and how does it all work? Like you've already set the blueprint, bro. Right. And we talk about being vulnerable and stuff, like it's taken a lot, to ask people to even come on here, right? To get on and like, and hey, can you come on and speak about like your story and tell the whole thing? Even like for me, talking about asking you for help for just everything, like you've been a rock in my journey through, this whole European thing. So that's why I want to give you your flowers now, bro, because you've always reached out, whether it was, and not being a gatekeeper. You know what I mean? Like you've helped me with the whole trying to figure out my Swedish passport thing. You've helped me with, bringing me down to camps, right? You've helped me with when I was in Denmark trying to figure out the contract situations and everything. Like, bro, like there's so many things that you have done that I don't even think you realize you've done for people that don't even tell you all the time, but thank you, bro. You know what I mean? Like, thank you for doing what you do, man, because it's awesome to see another brother doing it and doing it over here on this side of the pond and leading it in a way that, like you're headed in the right direction, but doing it completely humble and willing to help others. Like, cause we always talk about going to the top of the mountain, right? We always want to be at the top, right? But everyone can make it up there, but it's never somebody that comes back down and helps others get back up there, right? Or shows them the journey. Because not everybody's path up there is going to be the same, right? But if you can lend a helping hand, like it's so incredible to see others come back down from the mountaintop and help others kind of through their journey. So, bro, like continue to do what you're doing, because like a lot of us are learning from you. And like, I'm so excited about this one to drop, because there's so much knowledge in there. There's so many people like I know that can reach out to you and learn from this. Like,
yeah, absolutely. But I want to learn too, man. Like, I appreciate you saying those things. It means a lot. But like, I'm also sitting there in my gut, like, man, you got it in you 100%. Like, I'm always telling people, like, the scariest thing that you've done in your life, most of the time, has been some of the most exciting and best moments of your life. Like, when you really go back and you look at some things that you were terrified about, like, man, I got a kid coming here, like, my life is going to change. It's one of the most wonderful things that I have in my life right now, right? Like, leaving the job that I had in the States to come back to build an academy of American football, which is a niche sport. How many people said I was stupid? That's dumb. That doesn't make any sense. Hey, I'm going to do it. I have it in me. I believe in it. And you're also one of those people that are, you have it in you. Just go take it. Like, literally go take it. If you want to build an academy, go build an academy. You want to have your own performance team. You've already done it in Denmark. The kids love you. You're good at what you do. Go take it. Like, it's there. You just got to go create it. Absolutely.
If you had to give, I wouldn't even say just Americans coming over here. If you had to give one piece of advice to all the coaches out there, what would it be?
Damn, bro. Let me start with the Europeans. All the coaches in the world. It's one thing for you. Damn, bro. Let me just start with some Europeans. Like, the one thing that I say is, like, that first year that you come over here, soak it up. Soak up everything that you can do. Like, don't be playing Xbox or PlayStation. Like, leave. Tell your teammates, hey, have your teammates take you to their hometowns. That was like one of the things that I had a friend tell me to do. And that's one of my favorite things. You know, one of my favorite memories is all these little Danish, you know, literally one, you know, traffic light town that I went to. I'm really appreciative of those. So just get out and see the world, because, you know, you might not come back. This might not be for you. And at least for the rest of your life, you've had, hey, I was traveling around Europe for a year playing football. That's something that you'll keep with you for the rest of your life. But if you are going to, and you really do like this and want to come back, you have to start looking at different opportunities and ways that you can transition your visa from being a player to a work visa. And also, and just looking at the skills, a lot of you coming over here are college educated people, like just teaching. Like, a lot of people, even if you're not educated as a teacher, there's a lot of international schools where you can just go teach and make the travel money that you want. Be a tutor in English. There's just, if you want to stay here, there's opportunities for it. You just got to go create it and just start looking at, hey, man, you don't want to be year 5 going, man, I really want to stay, and I haven't even thought about that next step. So that's just kind of what I would say. And then, you know, for coaches, like, you know, you got to find your why. You know, you say this all the time, like, you really have to find your why of why you like coaching. And, you know, I've always had this, you know, be what you needed when you were like at a young age. Like, when you're 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, be what you needed. That's just who you need to be. That's just how I live my life. When I'm at BGI and I'm working with kids, and, you know, I got a kid that, you know, is a hard head and he's a troublemaker and he's not going to class and doing those different things. You know, when I was that, what did I need? I need to be that guy. And so that's just kind of the mentality that I have when I come out here. So, you know, really find your why and stick to it, because, you know, I've definitely taken an alternative path to getting to the NFL and coaching in the NFL. And, like, I can say that, like, a lot of people, like, I can say I was an NFL coach for, you know, like 8 days. Like, that's something, like, I'm super proud of. But you know, I'm still crazy hungry. I'm hoping I get that call back. I'm checking my email every day, like, and you're accepted, you're the top 5. And if I don't get it, you know, I got to try to put myself out there. Hey, how can I get on the Bill Walsh Fellowship? How can I get another taste of this? Asking around the context that I made. And so, man, like, find your why and chase it. Like, find your why and chase it. That's what I'll boil it down to.
Man, that's a lot right there for everybody to take in. But before we get out of here, we got our last segment of the day, right? We got a 90-second round, one-word answers, right? You got 10 questions. They're going to be about literally anything, right? They're going to be across the board.
One word.
Right?
I can't have 2
one
words.
One word. Some of them might need like 2 words, but most of it's one word. All right. So, all right, here we go. Let me get this clock rolling. 90 seconds on the clock. Here we go, and let's go. So, favorite snack during the day at work?
My God, it's got to be Hindbærsnittel. It's like Pop-Tart, Danish Pop-Tart. Danish Pop-Tart. Let's go.
Best coach you've ever had?
And Chuck Martin.
Favorite NFL team?
Well, Tampa Bay, yo.
Pizza or burger?
Tampa Bay, yo.
Pizza or burger?
Burger.
Favorite NBA player?
Kobe.
Top Danish player you've ever coached?
Julius Bunk.
Toughest player you played against in Denmark?
Damn. Man, I used to wash all of them. Desi.
Whoa. Best team in Denmark?
Towers. Ain't no Towers.
Best coach in the industry, in all industry?
Europe or just like anything?
Everywhere.
Bowles. Todd Bowles, man. I learned so much from that man.
What is your number one flaw as a coach?
Not enough time.
Would you rather be in a ring with a gorilla, tiger, or a bear?
Damn, I'm going to die. Gorilla.
And that is it.
I'm gonna die.
I'm gonna die either way. It don't matter,
I'm like,
bro.
how
We
do I
appreciate.
die? I guess getting punched really hard. Like, it's
Unless I think take you by the leg and swing you back and forth, but either way you gonna die, so it don't
yeah,
matter.
I'm still, yeah.
Hey, bro, that is the day, man. We appreciate you coming on. We don't even know what episode this is because we've been doing so many. It's been so much fun. As again, remember, guys, hit that subscribe, like, comment button. Go ahead and spread this all around as we continue to grow throughout the Coaches Compass. Coach Jonn, Coach Snacks, the man, the myth, the legend. If you know him, you get to know him now, right? Go ahead and check him out. What he's doing over there in Denmark has been incredible work. If you have questions, right, concerns, anything that you need to know about what it's like, these are the two guys to ask. Don't ask me because I'm still trying to learn from them, right? These two guys right here have built an amazing career over here in Europe, being here for 8+ years, 10+ years, and doing what they're doing. So thank you, Jonn, for jumping on. And that is the day, guys.
Can I throw something out real quick?
Go ahead.
Coach. Hey, first of all, sorry for the lighting. I didn't realize the sun in Denmark was going to go down like it was. But last thing is, any coach in Europe or whoever's listening to this that wants to come over here, wants some help with some, reach out. I'm definitely not a gatekeeper. Like, I love to help in any way. Even if you want to come up and see BGI, you want to play BGI, you want to, just know how to, take a step forward in your coaching career, reach out. I'd love to help.
That's it right there. And we're out of here.